that complacency here has been evidenced, and really it's a real wake up call. That like no players should be turning up with symptoms. They should be more aware. They shouldn't be thinking, yeah, I feel like this, but it's probably not the coronavirus. Go and get a test before you go and speak to anyone about what it is and isn't. Especially if there's no chance that you're going to be in the match day squad the following day. Why are you putting people at risk? And like I say, I'm questioning the player, but I'm not criticising the player, because I think this is a cultural thing that's coming, and this player actually helps drive out that complacency now within our sport by being the example of how easily it can go wrong and how on a knife edge this season is. And if these players want to complete this season, and like Tom said, the sport that they get paid to play, they have to help protect it too. Sam Tompkins has come out and said players should be doing more. I think Lee Mossop in the League Express has said probably he'd not been taking it seriously enough. This is a reminder there. They don't have to. We don't have to go to the same sort of biosecure bubble type effect that the cricket has got, because because it's not feasible or whatever with a more working class nature of our sport maybe than the top elite tier of international cricket. But we've got to start taking it more seriously. Players should not be going out to pubs and restaurants. Players should be limiting how often they go to the shops, how often their families go to their families they live with go to the shops. They should be telling the club about any external appointments that they've got for whatever, so that the club can help advise them on whether they think they need to not come into training until the testing day, so that they can, help limit these things, these spreads. And I'm not saying people cannot do things. The club can maybe arrange situations where players and families can go to restaurants, but the restaurant will be booked out for the players and families, or something like that. There's things that clubs can help support with there, so that you still get to have some level of normal life, but for a few months to actually have a job to go to, because otherwise you will not. This sport will not be the same. Stop the complacency and buckle down, I think that's my personal view.
Yeah. It has become quite. It is very easy to become complacent.
Yeah.
When all this kind of started, one of the things that was communicated early on when they were concerned about bringing in lockdown was this kind of both a level of complacency and a level of frustration with the process. And I think since it has eased, we've all seen this. If you've been to any kind of town centre on a weekend night, you can see it. You can see behaviour that is not right, and it leads players. These players are the same as anybody. They're just as likely to become frustrated with the situation, if not more so. But it's as you say, it's not an exaggeration to say that their livelihood depends on their conduct over the next few months, really. And there's lessons to learn in terms of frequency of testing. I think that's been accepted already in terms of more than once a week. And there's things about
the testing
and timing. Yeah. Timing.
Is it right to be having it at the start of a week and then you're sort of giving more scope for infection that people are again complacent to because they've been tested? So I'm fine, mate.
Yeah, I'm guessing that the timing might have been agreed on the basis they were cautious in terms of getting results back.
Yeah.
If results are becoming through a bit quicker now, which I believe as testing evolves, they are starting to become a little bit quicker in certain scenarios, then you might be able to move it to a Wednesday, Thursday. Certainly when you're talking about more than one game a week, you're going to be talking about a different regime of testing.
Yeah.
But it also, as you say, raises questions about match day 17s and when and how secure like the 19 players that you choose are compared to players who are rehabbing or players who are outside of that 19. What kind of separations are you creating within your clubs in that kind of environment? So it as you say, it's a bit of a wake-up call. It's just so happens it's happened at Hull FC. It could have been anywhere, frankly.
Oh yeah, I'm not blaming the club. I just think because I would imagine this was just like you say, just as likely at any of the clubs.
Yeah, of course.
We've seen things happen. People say things haven't happened in other sports. Well, that's not true. We saw the situation in Scotland with a few boneheaded kind of things happen there. We've seen stuff in America with NBA players, with a baseball team being basically shut down. We've seen things in other sports. It's not unique,
of course.
But it's a lesson for everyone, really. Don't be complacent. But I think the lesson is there for everyone to learn, isn't it? It's not like Hull need to do something better or different. Everyone needs to take this as seriously as it should be taken, and maybe the fact that no one had tested positive since we resumed training 6 weeks ago now, no one had tested positive, had they? So, and everyone was doing normal stuff. So it's
exactly
just, yeah.
It was that's a breeding ground for complacency, isn't it?
Yeah.
If something works fine for 5 weeks, why would I change something in the sixth? And that's the danger of any infectious disease. So yeah, it's one of those things that I think the game will learn from, because it's going to be with us for into next year, and we shouldn't think that it won't be. So
impressive adaptation from the competition to get 4 fixtures on this weekend, though, I thought.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and well done to all the clubs for kind of being flexible around that as well. I'm sure we'll talk about the challenges different clubs had with that, but obviously it had to be worked around Catalans' travel plans, because they've paid £50,000-60,000, whatever it is, for the private chartered flight. You got to kind of respect those costs, and you've got to from Leeds or wherever.
You've got to expect that this won't be the last time that this happens. So if you can play a game, you've got to play it, I think.
Yeah, it probably won't be the last time it happens, but at the same time, I think it's probably awoken people up to what can happen if you turn up at the training ground with even symptoms that you aren't sure whether it's a cold or whether it's coronavirus or whether it's something else, or you might only have one of the symptoms that are listed as symptoms of COVID or what have you. Don't go in. Fill in your forms correctly, make everyone aware, be a bit more sensible and strict on yourselves, I guess.
Yeah. But yes,
England,
as you say, hopefully they'll all recover and back playing before we know it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. England head coach Sean Wayne has extended his contract to 2022, taking him beyond the 2021 World Cup. The 55-year-old took over from Wayne Bennett in the aftermath of the 2019 Great Britain Lions tour, but Wayne is yet to take charge of the national team after the 2020 schedule was wiped out by the virus. Tom Andrews got in touch. He said, "Totally deserved, exceptional, undefeated record leading to this decision. One thing the RFL are doing right for a change."
Well, yeah, there's been lots of speculation. This was because other NRL clubs have been sniffing around. Whether that's true or it was part of the case to get a contract extension, it's...
he's reiterated his desire to coach in the NRL at some point, hasn't he, this weekend, following his debut on Twitter.
Oh, I didn't know he was on Twitter.
He is, yeah, as of this week, yeah. So obviously he's got a lot of time on his hands, more time than he's used to.
Yeah, but no, it seems reasonable. It's not too long. It's still only a relatively short period, isn't it? In terms of number of fixtures that he's likely to be able to directly impact on. So yeah, seems reasonable.
Yeah, I would wonder if there's, like you say, other factors at play, but also how is his wages structured around things and stuff, and maybe this was a way of keeping him happy by giving him that extra year where he's definitely going to get sort of full action to be paid to do.
Yeah. So
in the meantime, he gets to go to all the fucking games. I wish I was England coach. Make me England coach for this season. Doesn't matter. Then I can go and watch all the games. I'll wear a mask and everything.
You too can be undefeated.
Yeah.
More international news. So the Canadian Rugby League Association have announced that Aaron Zimmerly will take over as head coach of the national side, the Wolverines, effective immediately. The former Queensland Cup coach is of Canadian heritage and was extremely proud to take over the role as national coach. He said, "Personally, coaching the Canadian Wolverines is both a culmination of my Canadian-born heritage and my Australian-raised rugby league culture. It's my life journey and greatest honour," he said in an announcement on Facebook.
It's a nice way to look at it, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Leeds have signed back row Bodine Thompson from the Toronto Wolfpack. The 32-year-old New Zealander has agreed a deal that runs to the end of the current Super League season, and he made his debut for Leeds at the weekend.
He did. We'll talk about that later.
Yes.
Wakefield winger Tom Johnstone is set for 4 to 6 weeks on the sidelines. Johnstone, who scored a spectacular try in defeat to Wigan after damaging his elbow, was set to see a specialist on Friday. The Trinity coach, Chris Chester, does not expect him to require surgery, but confirmed he'll miss out on a number of games.
Sad, isn't it, when a player who's capable of that kind of level of skill is missing for an extended period.
He's just a bit biscuity, though, isn't he?
He is.
Unfortunately.
He really is. Forward Paul Clough has left Huddersfield Giants with immediate effect. His contract was up at the end of the year, and the player and club have decided to part company early. Sounds like he might be going back to Widnes.
Yeah. Paul Clough would be a good pickup for a lot of teams, I would say. Kind of solid player. He
had a spell at Bradford, didn't he, before he went to the Giants? He's been around a long time. Like a really long time. He was involved in like St Helens Grand Final squads in years past.
Oh yeah, no, but yeah, always solid whenever I've seen him play. Even with the Giants, he's been pretty good for him. The Featherstone Rovers have opted out of the RFL's autumn competition. So Rovers confirmed the news on Friday, which was the final day for clubs to make a decision. Joining them were the York City Knights, said that after reviewing details of the competition criteria, they decided from both a performance and finance point of view, it wasn't in the best interest of the clubs to enter. So on the rack so far, we've got Barrow, Bradford, Dewsbury and Leigh, who've indicated they wish to enter the competition, with only Batley and the 2 London clubs yet to make their intentions clear.
Yeah, I think Batley have said now, haven't they, that they would play in it. So that's 5 clubs playing. We haven't heard from the London clubs, which is strange because I was expecting the papers to be all over, well, the one paper at the moment, to be all over this at the weekend, but it didn't seem to take priority. But do you think they can run it as a 5-team competition?
No. The RFL themselves said it had to be at the minimum of 8 to make it logistically worthwhile in terms of number of fixtures. So it's looking like it can't go ahead, which I think is a real shame.
5-team, you could have home and away, and then a top 2 go straight to a final. Could work, couldn't it?
I mean, I'd be quite happy for it to happen. My only kind of question is that the RFL were quite clear that they said from their perspective it was a minimum of 8. They might be able to be flexible with that. One thing that Batley have said in their kind of update this week was that they're in the same kind of health authority area as Dewsbury and obviously Bradford at the moment, and they've obviously secured testing through their health authority, and that will have no doubt played a massive part in their ability to take part in terms of the cost. And it just raises the question for me about, have other clubs made that inquiry, or have the RFL kind of tried to do so on their behalf? Because it seems like it's an individual public health kind of lead decision in each area.
Probably depends on how significant your rugby league team is to your ability to get votes in elections, doesn't it?
Well, the person making the decision,
because someone's got to carry the cost of the testing, so the cost here is being borne by the local councils or the local health authorities, whereas in Super League obviously it's been outsourced to a private sector company. Not that anything's stopping anyone going and getting their own free tests if they're showing symptoms, obviously.
No, and I do wonder that, the actual supply of test kits isn't the problem now. It appears to me that it's as you say, it's the commitment to get the actual analysis done. For whatever reason, these kind of, obviously they're relatively small entities as organisations, they've been able to do it. It just surprises me that other similar sized teams haven't been able to do the same.
Do you think with that kind of